Hi, I'm Keita Williams, your favorite Success Bully. I'm the founder and chief strategist of Success Bully. Success Bully is an accountability practice where we work with individuals, organizations, and groups to supercharge goals through accountability. I am so happy to share the second part of the Fearless Factor series we've been working on. It features Amy Nelson, co-founder and CEO of the Riveter, which is the newest women's co-working space based here in Seattle, which will soon roll out to 20 different locations nationwide. And Tina Nole, founder and executive producer of Larj Media, the most premier podcast production house that develops content for celebrities, thought leaders, and brands alike, and produces this podcast with love. They both share their unique catalyst behind starting their own businesses, as well as leveraging their community to make their vision a reality. There are so many nuggets and key takeaways from this conversation. I felt empowered, and I hope that you'll feel the same. Now, let's talk about the transition from your corporate life to the wild and crazy ride that is entrepreneurship. You all could have warned me about the wild, crazy ride. So what was the catalyst? Like, what was that turning point where you're like, I'm doing it alone?
As a radio producer, you're required to hitch your wagon to the host, no matter who that host is. So if they fail, you fail. If they quit, you quit. So when I was at Air America and the station went under, I really wanted to keep the show going, and I knew we could. Ron Reagan, President Reagan's son's the host of the show, you know, and he was really good and super smart and just great. So I was like, we can do this. I literally ran around Manhattan looking for stations to pick the show up, and it required us to get 15 stations to hold on to the show for us to keep it going. And Ron was like, he wasn't into it. He just didn't want it like I did. And so it couldn't happen. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, you know what? I don't want to hitch my wagon to anybody else anymore. Like, I can't do this. My life was dependent on his. So that was really the turning point when I started to hatch this idea of, I'm just going to do this on my own. I'm just going to start. So it was the hitch the wagon moment for me.
Love it. Amy?
So I wasn't very passionate about lawyering. I think I started out passionate about it, and then over the years that kind of just waned. And I realized that I didn't want to spend my days just at an office being okay. And, you know, I had a great job that paid very well, but I was bored and stressed, which are, you know, not too
awful
good
combination.
Yeah. Right.
How does that work?
Yeah. I don't know. Be a lawyer and and then also, you know, I had two little girls pretty quickly, and I really realized that for me to trade my time away from them, I wanted to do something I was passionate about, and that would inspire me and hopefully inspire them. For a long time, the conversation in my head was, you can either lawyer or stay home. And I didn't want to do either of those things. And so I felt really challenged. Mm-hmm. And then I realized I could just build something, right, that I could do that. And so I went about the process of trying to figure out what to build. I knew I wanted to start something, but I didn't want to just start anything. And I was going around to co-working spaces in Seattle and taking classes on like how to write your business plan, all the basic stuff. Yeah, how to write your
all
business
the things
plan.
That go out the window once you get started.
And so I was going to all these classes at these co-working spaces, and it felt a lot like being a lawyer. I was the only woman in the room. And I'm comfortable speaking up in that environment, but I really wanted to talk to some women who'd done it. I wanted to feel like I belonged, and I just couldn't find that. And then I realized, well, there's your thing, right? Create that space for women, because I mean, I wanted to hang out here. So that's why we built it.
Okay, so now that you've made the decision that you're going it alone, how did you leverage your community to bring your idea to life?
I leveraged every relationship that I have, probably 10 times as much as I should have. But really, I did it in ways strategic and in ways organic. There were times when I sat down and looked at LinkedIn and Facebook when I wanted to meet somebody and I didn't have a direct connection to them. I figured out how my second or third connection could get me a warm introduction to that person. I begged and pleaded with my family to help me fulfill all of the responsibilities that I knew. In all seriousness, when you take the jump into entrepreneurship, there's a lot of your life that kind of falls away in different pieces.
Yes.
And so I just asked my family to back me up, and they bought in completely, which has been amazing. Deciding to have a third child might not have been the best timing, but we're really excited about it. And then I leveraged my friends, right?
Okay.
I mean, to build this space, it took a lot more work than I had imagined. Imagine that. Yeah. And
Who knew?
we had Saturday barn raising parties where I invited all of my wonderful friends over to build filing cabinets and sweep. And people showed up. I mean, what I have learned in doing this is that if you are passionate and want to build something, the people in your life will show up. And it is amazing. And it feels so great.
Yeah.
So.
Just to piggyback on that, that was a phrase that pays, guys. We had a competition.
Everybody has to take a shot when you hear that phrase.
Who could say it first? I found that in addition to like my current network, that because I'm so passionate and driven, that I'm meeting all these fabulous people who have been like willing to support my efforts and show up for me time and time again and kick me in the butt when I need it. So I'm gonna get emotional. Tina.
Okay, I mean, they both said it all for sure. I mean, I immediately, radio people were all I knew, and podcasting was just starting to bubble up. And I was like, well, if I'm not hired on a radio station for zero money, I better start this thing. So I really went to Tom first, Douglas, and said, hey, you want to resurrect that radio show we used to do? Only can I be the boss of it? And he said yes. He was like, sure. I was like, it's going to work like this. And from there, every single client that has come to me has come from my radio network. And my sister, who became my business analyst, she is this amazing woman who has a degree at Foster School of Business and is in Palo Alto running startups. And she really has been an enormous support and help for all of that. And to Amy's point, I think everybody that I did ask to show up, friends, is I moved in my first office space and said, will you just come over and make me feel like I'm like a real thing? To, employees, to, a close friend who's running our HR department now,
Love it.
So yeah, I think our network and community, and that really is about relationships that you're building every single day, as you guys already know, but having integrity in your relationships and supporting other women and other people in all those different ways pays off. It's not the reason we do it, but certainly has helped my career.
Love y'all. So how do you, because I feel like this is ongoing for me, how do you navigate like the fear and the emotional roller coaster that is all part of entrepreneurship? What are some of your tips and tricks on that one?
I don't know what you guys do, but I just block it out. I
put it in a box.
You just kind of can't let yourself go there with the fear because it could consume you. I mean, there are moments late at night. This is a very big space, and we are a startup. And though we raised money, the ownership of the building was understandably reluctant to lease to us, and we signed personal guarantees. So when I start thinking about that, it is scary because it's my house. But I guess on some level, just believe in my blind faith that we can do this. And I say that, but it's not blind faith.
No,
it's
not
faith in
blind
like
faith.
a well thought out business plan,
Right.
a good strategy, and something I built that's powerful. But I try to just block out the bad. I try to not go there.
Tina, what's your tip?
I think you're absolutely right. That's what I do. I don't necessarily block it out, but I have to make very conscious decisions around fear because I just don't have a choice. Like, this is the thing I'm doing. And as soon as that creeps in, I feel like the wheels get a little shakier and things aren't right. And as soon as I stop feeling that way, and I'm like, look at your freaking client list. The Gates Foundation isn't saying yes to you because you're a jackass. And, everything's going to be okay. So honestly, it is that thing about simply not letting it be a thing. Yeah. Like, you just can't let it be a thing.
I have two things that I do. Hashtag Power Tribe. So I send up a signal flare when I'm like spiraling, just like, somebody call me. And then I know that I don't have to be
brave all the time. I can have measured moments of bravery. Like, I can do it afraid, but there are moments where I have got to, like, jump into it.
If you're standing on the cusp of greatness and you're unsure of your next move, eventually you have to take the leap of faith. Whether that's starting your own business, asking for the promotion, leaning into love, or any other scary moment, I encourage you to trust yourself in the process. Take that leap. Special thanks to Upward, which you can find out more information at upwardwomen.org. You can see more on the Riveter by visiting theriveter.co. And as always, we're produced with love by Larj Media, which you can find at larjmedia.com. Feel free to keep up with my antics and foolery on Twitter and Instagram at SuccessBully, as well as check out my website, successbully.com. My client roster is filling, people. This is happening. So if you need one-on-one coaching, group butt kicking, or you want me to come in and do a corporate workshop, I will do this at work for you. Feel free to reach out. Again, I'm Keita Williams, and I'm your favorite Success Bully.